What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome to episode 76 of the Rise to Glory, here with Gibraltar Apex, and today I have for you guys an end of season live comp, but this episode is going to double up as well as a 10-year review into this save. This is of course the end of our 10th season. Unlike my normal end of season live comps, I've actually played the Gibraltarian Senior League Cup Final. We're going to start off by playing the Rock Cup Final against Lincoln Red Imps, and then going to go over stuff like the best 11, club history, records, all that jazz for you guys. We will quickly just have a blast through the results since the last episode, which of course was the game against Gibraltar Lions at the start of February. So you can see since then, we really have just torn a new one for a lot of teams. 12-0 is still our record win margin. However, we did get 4 games where we got double figures. 2 2-0s, or 2 10-0s, and 2 11-0s even. We'll just blast through the cup runs really. You can kind of see the general pattern here. I am also going to do a squad review this episode, so stuff like goal scorers and such you will see plenty of. In reality, though, we just dominated the league. We beat Gibraltar, Manchester 62 actually, 6-0 to get to the Senior League Cup final. In the Rock Cup, we beat Gibraltar Lions, our rivals, 4-0. We then won in the quarter-final against Gibraltar Phoenix, 11-0. We then beat College Europa in the semi-final, 11-0. And of course, we've got the game against Red Imps today. In the league, as you can see, really, really good run. In the end, we did concede 2 more goals, which took our total for the season, I do believe, to 5 goals conceded in 25, which is a little bit of a shame really. I would have liked to have kept it going longer. If we just look at the league table here and go to stages, yeah, we did all good this year really. We conceded 5 goals, which is more than what we had the previous few years. In fact, the previous 2 years combined, we'd shipped 5 goals. Worth noting that 4 years ago, we did concede 5 goals too. However, the big difference this year really was the fact that we scored 161 goals, which is 30 more goals than our previous best. We have started to score a lot more goals this year. And yeah, despite kind of conceding a few more goals, our goal difference was still kind of a record total for in the league. Anyway, I'm going to get straight into the game against Lincoln today. I'm then going to do a squad review. Then we're going to skip forward a little bit just till we get to the end of season kind of news items and such. But all in all, the team going into today's game is pretty solid, really. Unfortunately for us, Ludwig Young is going on international duty, which is a shame. He's travelling up, and actually that's something we have had a little bit of a problem with, is players going on international duty, but the majority of players are back now, which is good. You can see, looking at the team, we're going to go with, I think, Jer and Russo up front. Midfield, Smith, Cruz, Bouchard, McVitie. Back 5, you got Romero in goal, Flanagan, Thomas, Brown, Patterson. Worth noting, actually, I have been giving Walter Del Sol a few more games, this Italian guy. He's really developed, actually, under those games. I kind of want to play him again, if I'm honest. So that is something that we might do now, because, well, I think that would make sense, wouldn't it? That would make sense. Let's give him a chance. Big old Walter here. I'll swap him in for Locklear, and then we'll put him on for... I think we'll put him on for Brown, just because Brown's in on loan, of course. I want to give Melvin Thomas game time where I can. Both our fullbacks, of course, still in on loan. Maybe I should play Jay Marriott and Evans as well. I think I'm going to do that. I don't really want to play the loan players as much as we have been. And that is something I've tried to avoid where I can. Anyway, this is the team we're going to go with going into today's Rock Cup final. We're taking on Lincoln Red Imps. Of course, this isn't Gibraltar Lions, who you might expect, because we knocked them out very early on in this competition. However, it's still not going to be an easy game. Lincoln Red Imps, they've done really well for themselves. Obviously, in the league, the top 3 teams qualify for Europa League and Champions League football. And the 4th place team get a spot depending on the winner of the Rock Cup. Of course, because Lincoln, who finished 4th in the league, are also in the final. Even if they lose, they're guaranteed that kind of final Europa League spot. So there's not too much riding on them. Anyway, we'll see how we get on here. Del Sol, I thought he was about to score what I believe would be his first senior goal, the young Italian. Almost there. Keep an eye out on him. Number 39. Definitely a player for the future, I think. He's performed very, very well, and he's still only 17. But, I mean, so far, so good. We're a minute into this game. We've not conceded, but we are dominating possession. We're bringing the ball forward here. McVitie cutting inside from the right. Switches it to Marriott, to Smith. And I'll tell you now, Smith has been something else this year. He has surpassed the record in the league, and I believe the club record as well, for the highest average rating in a season. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's in excess of a 9.0 average rating. He's been absolutely superb. I think he has in excess of 30 goals and 30 assists. As we almost score, we hit the woodwork there, cleared away. Lincoln Red Imps living dangerously. Looking at it, they'd had 18% possession after about 6 minutes. Unfortunately for us, they are now up to 27%, but we are coming forward with the ball again. Marriott at left back, whips it in back post. McVitie hits the crossbar again. And well, right now, the woodworker's been the best player for Lincoln Red Imps, in truth. Already hit it twice here. And it's denied us twice as well. I think it's made more saves than their goalkeeper's made, which I don't know really what that says. Either way, we've got to try and build again. We want to get the lead if we can early on. In the past, we have struggled in cup finals. Not so much fairly recently. And well, with a finish like that from Jer, can't complain. His 29th goal of the season. It'd be nice if he could get to 30 in total. A delightful finish here. Perhaps questionable goalkeeping. It looked like the keeper got beaten at the near post. Smith with the big ball through. Jer, the Brazilian, finds a sight on goal. Hits it, bang. And well, the keeper should never be beaten on the near post there. But our fans don't care. This is, of course, the last ever game we will play as kind of a home team at the Victoria Stadium. Technically, it's a neutral stadium for this game because it's a cup final, but of course it is what we consider to be our home stadium. So I kind of feel like it's a bit of a home game, really. But it's the last game, and while Manuel Cruz makes it 2-0, it'd be awesome if we could end on a high. Of course, we're going to be moving to the new stadium, the Space Park, next year, assuming construction isn't delayed, which, well, I don't think I've been told it's delayed yet, so that's good. But so far, so good here. 2-0, Lincoln Red Imps, just not been at the races. Kind of to be expected, if we're honest. This is also one of the reasons why I decided not to do the Senior League Cup. I feel like we've reached that stage of dominance where the cup finals do get a little bit lame and a little bit boring to watch. It is worth noting, of course, we did win the Gibraltarian Senior League Cup final the game before this, in case that wasn't obvious. But Cruz there with the ball whipped in, back post to Sol. Challenges, and well, it's Melvin Thomas who has another shot. It's saved away, but who's there? Who is there? It's Smith, of course it is, the Australian. He finds some space in the box and he buries it. He's loving it. If we could get another before half time, that'd be nice. I might even rest actually, I was about to say I might rest a few players. There is pretty much no point in resting players for the last game of the season, Jack. Pro tip right there. Either way, we're on the attack. Evans, McVitie, back post. Smith is there again. He's going to want his hat trick. I think that's his second of the game. That was a really nice goal as well. His 37th goal of the season. I mean, if he gets 3 more, he could get to 40 for the year. McVitie, back post. Smith there on the volley. Cool, calm, collected. Keeper, no chance from a yard out. Finds the back of the net, and we are loving it. Oh, and there might be another before half-time. A minute left on the clock. Can we make something happen? Russo challenging Smith. It's not Smith, it's Jer. I'm lying. The keeper makes a nice save there, to be fair. Can Russo find the ball in? He can't. Gregory clears it. No nonsense. And, well, I think it's fair to say we've been the better team in this game so far. Bouchard edged the box. Smith has another pop on goal. He's still looking for that 40 goal total. He's going to need a hat-trick in the second half. But so far, so good here, I think it's reasonable to say, I guess. It could be 4-0. It's been a dominant display as well. Part of me wants to just play Smith up front, just so we can try and get him a second half hat-trick. You know what? Let's try it. Why not? We're going to bring in Smith. I'm going to make a few changes here. We'll play McVitie out on the left, even though he can't play there. And then I think we'll take off Jer for the game. Although, in my infinite wisdom, as you can see here, not putting a centre attack in mid. So that's worked out well. Fortunately, however, we can actually play Evans there. And then I'll bring on the one, the only, John Flanagan at right back. There we go. Problem solved. A few players playing out of position, but I want to try and get Smith the second half hat-trick. So we'll give him the best chance he can have to do that. He really has been the best player in the team, and I feel like he deserves to play up front. He's had a few crazy performances. I think he's had 2 or 3 games this year where he gets a hat-trick and he also gets 4 or 5 assists, which is just a little bit ludicrous, really. Maybe he can get a goal here. He shoots, saved. McVitie with the rebound. And, well, McElwee has held on to that one there, the goalkeeper, but I mean, he's not really been at the races today, McElwee. I mean, it's perhaps not fair to shift the blame of a 4-0 defeat on the goalkeeper because, frankly, Lincoln have been awful. And, well, Smith with a chance smashes it wide. Don't know if he had to hit it quite as hard as he did there. It goes high and wide. And, well, since the second half, we're yet to score, boys. That's just unacceptable. Although we might have a chance here. Russo, normally a striker, playing him out on the right, which he can play. And can he find the ball into the box for Smith? He can, he can't. I'm a liar. It's Bouchard who gets found. His 7th goal of the year. Another player who's really been like head and shoulders above the rest, really. I think Smith and Bouchard are the 2 players who the entirety of our team rely on a lot of the time. Although, to be fair, Russo, the Italian stallion on loan from Inter, really has been a standout performer for us this year. And he's got a nice assist there too, so that's decent. And, well, 18 minutes left. Smith, if he's going to get his hat-trick, he's going to need to do it very late on here. That's a pretty greedy effort by McVitie, cutting in on that right foot of his. Of course, not naturally a left winger, so I feel like the blood's gone to... Oh my gosh, what has Smith done? That's illegal. That's illegal. I mean, he scored a thunder bastard. Tab out of your FMs if you're not watching. I mean, it gets headed clear at the edge of the box. Smith is just like, oh, hi, bang. Say hello to my little friend. That's ridiculous. He's hit it on the volley from like 25 yards out and it just goes into the roof. Stop him. Nerf Smith, what year is this? 2015? Smith again. I mean, he could still get the hat-trick. Ball in, headed away. Can we find the ball back to Smith in the box? Marriott going to cross it. McVitie, maybe second cross in. Cleared away again. Evans, though. Cruz. Bouchard. Flanagan. Russo, can he hit it? McVitie, oh dear, McVitie, that's bad. That's really bad. That's not the best finish in the world, but I think it's fair to say we've deserved the win here. And that Smith goal was just ridiculous. On the volley, backpedaling, ludicrous stuff, absolutely ludicrous. Should never be able to score from there. And, well, that gives you an idea of just how good he's been this year. That's very much trademark Smith. Either way, full-time whistle going to be blown here. 6-0 it finishes. A good performance. Pretty pleased with how the team performed there. Smith, man of the match. Got a hat-trick. Also got 2 assists. Can't complain about that one little bit. Sean Jackson ends up top goal scorer in the competition with 8. Russo has 6. Smith and Jet with 4. McVitie with 3. Gives you an idea of how many goals we're scoring in this competition, really, doesn't it? When the top 4 players kind of get that. Trophy hoarder. What is the trophy holder achievement? I have to tab out my FM to check this. I always like when the achievements pop up. We have won 20 cup competitions. Well, that's not too bad, is it? We celebrate a famous quadruple. I don't know if it's that famous. It's like the 3rd in a row. We received £352,000 for winning the Rock Cup. I think when we first played in the Rock Cup, it was probably about a 10th of that. So that gives you an idea of just how much the competition has improved. Of course, a bit of that money gets shared between the players. Either way, we're just going to continue forward a few days because then it gets to all the fan player of the year and stuff, goal of the year, all that interesting stuff. And then, of course, we're going to look back over the last, 10 years. Look at our 20-plus trophies we've won, you know. Reminisce about how we've done on this save. As you can see, I'm scouting a load of players whose contracts are expiring at the end of the year. You know, got to keep my options open. Can't kind of rest on the squad we've got. You never know, there might be a few players here who we end up signing. If they're interested in joining, of course. But yeah, keep an eye out. You know, some of these players, although they're not interested now, their contracts are expiring, so who knows? Maybe we can convince them it'd be a good move to come to us. Either way, if we continue through all of this, we might just about get to this. Russo, highest average rating in the Rock Cup, a 9.38. That's not too bad, is it? In terms of players inducted into the overall best 11, we'll have a look at the best 11 in a second, but you can have a quick glance at it here. It's a pretty ferocious team. We will go through a lot of these players and see where they are now. As you can see, the where are they now has just appeared here, but I'm going to look at it in just a second. First, we're going to look through the kind of end-of-season awards. So, Fans Player of the Year was Paul Smith, runner-up was Bouchard, and then Daniele Russo doing very well. I really like Daniele Russo. I'd love to sign him permanently into. I don't think there's any chance of them letting us loan him permanently, but he is, of course, on loan to the end of next year. If I can in the summer, I might try and extend his loan so we have until the end of the season after next. If we just look at the kind of signing of the season, it was Russo. Young Player of the Year was Paul Smith. Goal of the Year was scored by Bouchard. I feel like the Goal of the Year stuff is always a bit wonky in FM, and the goals that are shown are never that great because there's no way that I don't feel like you can have a goal better than that Smith goal. I can't really remember this goal, so I might be talking out my arse. Bouchard, edge of the box. I mean, it's just a bit under... It's not a volley, is it, from 25 yards out? That's what I'm trying to say. I guess the context of it, the fact it was against Gibraltar Lions, might have played into it just a little bit. Looking at our end-of-season review, we were expected to make much of the Primera Division, and we lived up to our pre-season billing. Our moment to forget was a 3-1 win. I mean, it's a little bit harsh. We sold out 100% of the time, which is really, really good. Average attendance of 2,226. We got knocked out in the Champions League group stage. We won everything else we were involved in now. In terms of the end of confidence review, untouchable. The board absolutely love me. Very happy with the Primera Division performance. Happy with the player performance. Happy with the club finance. Happy with the club stature. Basically, they love me. And I love them. So that works out nicely, doesn't it? The board have announced that they're going to upgrade the training facilities. That's nice. our facilities are pretty good already. I couldn't request the upgrade again. I have obviously been slowly upgrading the facilities. You can see just scrolling through here, especially recently, we have had some upgrades done. But if we just look at, not my profile, we'll have a look at that in a second. But if we look at the, why am I trying to go to, I'm trying to get to the club screen. Here we go. If we look at the club facilities, you can see we have this excellent junior coach and established youth recruitment, obviously due to move to our new stadium, but we've also got excellent youth facilities and adequate training facilities. I mean, they're not too bad, really. Anyway, I am going to quickly go over, all the club details and stuff for this save. So I guess we'll start on the club profile while we're here. So, of course, 10 years at the club. We won the league in our first year, the Segunda Division, and since then we've gone on to win 9 Primera Division trophies on the bounce. If we look at the general info here, a lot about the club history. We were, of course, founded in 2015. We're expected to finish top of the league. The chairman loves the club. Estimated value £23 million. Season ticket holders only 350. Hopefully that will increase with our new stadium. Of course, we have one dynamic rivalry that's emerged, and that is, of course, against Gibraltar Lions, a team who they finished third now for, I believe, 4 years in a row. Oh, sorry, they finished second 4 years in a row. So, I don't know, they are kind of a rival, I guess. We've knocked them out in a few cup competitions as well. I'll be interested to see if we can maintain that rivalry over the next few years. Looking at kind of club legends and stuff. In terms of legends, there is, of course, me, and then we have Ben Connolly, who's been on loan at Gibraltar Lions. We have Lee Robson, whose contract runs out at the end of next year. The 25-year-old, been a really key player for us over the years, particularly early on, really helped pioneer us towards Europe. Of course, in recent years, he's just not played so much, unfortunately, for us. And Jack Peachman also up there, a player who, if I'm being honest, I'd like to keep hold of. It'll be interesting to see with it next year being our 11th year at the club, if we can hold any pre-season testimonials for players who have been at the club 10 years. But yeah, Peachman here, I mean, he's played every single season and he's scored once every single season. I mean, that's not too bad of a record to maintain, is it? Anyway, those are the legends. Looking at the icons, of course, Gary, one of our Fulham comrades, a player who we sold this year for £6 million. I feel like most people will agree that was a pretty good fee to get from a Qatari team for him. But yeah, it's a sad day to see Gary go. He was a club icon, great player. I'd love to re-sign him at some point, potentially. The next two players, we have Tristan Sargent, of course. He's in the reserve team. His contract is kind of expired. He just kind of sits at the club as part of the furniture. A player who's been here for a number of years. Hasn't played in the last 4 years, but we like to have him around the club. He's a nice presence to have in the changing room. We then have Anthony Hernandez, who of course went on to make 103 appearances for Gibraltar Apex. Unfortunately, following leaving the club, his kind of wage demands were just too excessive for teams in our level and, well, teams in Gibraltar. And as a result, he retired from football aged 28, which is a little bit premature, I feel. Another icon and the last of the four, obviously Lorenko II, left us last year for Freiburg. He's played 2 games for them and got a 6.0 average rating. That is karma right there. That's what you get for abandoning us, Lorenko. No, not even upset. Anyway, moving on to favourite personnel. Ian Cooker, a player who was one of the first players we ever signed when we went professional, the Canadian. Been a great player for us. He hasn't actually played this year. It's worth noting, though, at the end of next season, he will be eligible, potentially, to play for the Gibraltar national team, and that would be a nice addition to have. His contract runs out in 2 years. He's happy being a backup. Again, he's one of those players who's a bit of kind of part of the furniture, I guess, and we just like to have him around. Anyway, the next favourite personnel, Paul Smith, the man, the myth, the legend, a player who joined us a few years ago now. He's now at his 3rd year at the club, joined aged 18, and he's just improved a lot. I love just looking at how players have improved. If we just kind of tick some of these. I mean, actually looking at it, it doesn't actually look like he's improved that much. If we look at his physicals, I know that most of them improved, I feel like. Let's get rid of all the ones that we established didn't improve. So you can see stuff like his balance has increased from 9 to 11. His strength has increased from 10 to 13. I mean, he's definitely improved. Acceleration, really the big improver, to be honest. It was 12. It's now at 16. So that's a 4+ increase, and that is over the last 3 years, which is a pretty decent improvement there. You can see he's never really improved at his jumping, has Paul. But yeah, he's been a very good player for us. I believe his mentals have also improved a little bit over time. But all in all, he's a really good player for us. We want to keep hold of him if we can. He's got a 3-year deal left at the club till 2028. But we have also, if we just look at contract info, got the optional 3-year extension clause. So basically, we have this guy tied down until he's, 27 or 28. So that's good, because he is one of our big players who teams have expressed an interest in, but I really don't want to let go. The next player we have in the favourite personnel, Mark Stewart, a player who left for a club record fee at the time of £3 million. Of course, went to Huddersfield, looking at Huddersfield Town, how did they get on? They were newly promoted to the Championship. They spent big to get Stewart in. And where are they? Where are they? Why can I not see them? They finished 13th. That's a bit average. I'd like to sign him back if I can, although I don't know if he'd want to rejoin us, the 23-year-old. Was a great player, though, for the club. Really like him. I mean, if it wasn't for his release clause, I would have kept hold of him, really. 3 years at the club, I guess it was 2, really. But 2 years at the club, he scored over 50 league goals. I mean, he did a job for us, didn't he, when he came in, and I guess that's a fair enough reason to have him on the established personnel. The next player we have, Joe Bouchard. Another player who's improved a lot, a bit like Smith really, came in at a similar point in time, kind of 3 years ago. Over the last 3 years, you can see absolutely ludicrous stats. This year, 20 assists. That's more than double his previous best. He's also got an 8.94 average rating for us. The Canadian, just a fantastic player to have. Still not been called up to the Canada national side. I mean, if it keeps going like that, I mean, I'll happily have him play for Gibraltar, although I don't see that being particularly likely. 6 clubs interested in him. No massive clubs. There was a point where PSG and other teams were interested. You can see I put an asking price of £100 million on him. And similar to Smith, he has one of those contracts where we want ridiculous money for him. Either way, the next player we have is Aaron McVitie, the Scottish player. Not a crazily good player, but just performs well for us. 15 goals and 15 assists this year. He's also done very well continentally. Got 9 goals and 5 assists in the Champions League this year. Next player, George Putnam. Only played 1 year at the club, the right back. Currently plays for Sheffield United. You can see he was signed for 1.2 million by them from Swindon after we sold him to Swindon for 400k. I feel like we got a bit of the raw end of the deal there. If we just look, I think I saw he was transfer listed. Oh, he was. Part of me wants to see how much they want. They want 150k. Ooh, that's tempting. That might be something we look to do. I'll have to scout him again because I don't know how good he's going to be. But if we could sign a fan favourite back a few years after we lost him for cheaper than what we sold him for, I mean, I'd be pretty happy with that. Anyway, looking elsewhere, we have Wanmer, another player who actually has been released. Was he released by Zaragoza? Wow, he was released last year from Zaragoza. They signed him for 350k from us. He's been a free agent for a year. I mean, that's a little bit surprising. I don't know how much money he'd want. He wants 5k, which is a ludicrous sum of money because he's not that great. But yeah, he was a player who played kind of 1 year at the club. Similar to Putnam, really. Came in when we just came professional. Wanted to move to a bigger club. We sold him for a healthy bit of profit. And last but not least, on the favourite personnel, we have Sean Jackson, the American. Again, a player who's yet to play for the kind of American national side. I'm hoping we might be able to convince him to stick around and play for Gibraltar. You can see 21 goals and 11 assists this year in 22 games. Also got 6 goals in continental competition. And yeah, the 21-year-old, just a very good player. Not the most intelligent footballer, not the best footballer in the air. But what he brings you is composure, finishing and pace. And, well, those are the holy trinity, I feel like, when it comes to your strikers. Anyway, that's a bit about the kind of club side of things. I'm going to just remember what the other tabs are. We've gone through some of the facilities. If you want to pause it and have a look, obviously. New stadium, the Space Park. 6,600 fans that can hold. We're going to be moving into that. In terms of affiliate clubs, our only affiliate at the moment is Bursaspor. We're allowed to loan players off them, although the players that they have available for loan just really aren't that useful to me. In terms of the club history, well, looking at the trophy room here, 7 Rock Cups, 9 Primera Divisions, 1 Segunda Division, 8 Pepe Reyes Cups, 5 Gibraltarian Senior League Cups. Most league club goals is held by Ben Connolly, who's got 118. Peachman is the highest amongst the current players with 76. In terms of most league appearances, Glenn Gilbert currently holds the record with 149 and Ben Connolly has 138, so he's not far away from that record. Unfortunately, I don't know if he'll ever quite reach that. Anyway, if we look at the history of competitions, you can see all the different years that we won various competitions, of course. We've won the Primera Division every year, but on a few occasions we did slip up in the Gibraltarian Senior League Cup and the Rock Cup. In 2020 really was the year to forget, 5 years ago, where we lost in both finals 1-0. But since then, you know, we've won it, I think, every year since then. No, in fact, that's a lie, because we finished run-up again in 2021 in Gibraltarian Senior League Cup. Either way, though, we've got a nice little kind of a roll of honours and hall of fame kind of emerging here, I guess. We look at club landmarks. I'm going to scroll through these. You can pause it. Obviously, landmarks are kind of interesting to look at. Club, of course, turned professional 4 years ago now. Since then, we really have kind of stepped things up. You can see where our youth facilities were upgraded, and obviously the new stadium we're going to be moving into will soon appear on this list of things coming up. In terms of managers, well, I'm the only manager. I've been here for 9 years, 337 games, 337 days. We've played in 10 leagues, which we've won, 20 cup wins, 1 promotion. I mean, we've done pretty well looking at it here. 321 games won, 32 games drawn, 59 games lost. I think we've played just in excess of 400 games now. We'll have a look at my manager profile in just a second. Looking at the club record, highest attendance, and the first time we ever sold out the stadium was actually set 8 years ago. So it'll be interesting to see how much higher we kind of set that record next year in our new stadium. In terms of highest average attendance, I think that's going to be smashed this year, if I'm honest. Our lowest ever attendance, 724. Outrageous. That was against Hound Dogs in the Gibraltarian Division 2 League Cup final in our first ever year. Our biggest win was set this year. That was 12-0 against Lynx. Biggest defeat against PSG, 7-1. Highest scoring game remains the 8-4 classic between ourselves and Gibraltar United. We have equalised that, of course, on one occasion when we played Lynx this year, but that's a record I'd like to beat. In terms of transfers, highest bid paid was for Mark Stewart, who we signed for £2 million from Celtic. Our highest fee received was, well, £6 million for the one, the only Gary, which we sold this year. And, well, our total transfer spending is £2 million. That seems weird. I guess that's highest for the year, maybe? I don't even know what that means. Either way, let's move on to the next set of stats here. Highest league goals, Ben Connolly, 118. Most league appearances, Glenn Gilbert, one away from getting 150. The 32-year-old. I feel like I should give him the appearance like next year just so he gets it. He's been here since the beginning. I mean, look at him. What a man. Does he still have free crossing? That is the important question. His crossing's gone down. It's a sad day for modern day football right there. Glenn Gilbert, just not the player he once was, unfortunately, when it comes to his crossing. Top league goal scorer was Daniele Russo. That was set this year with 35. Highest average rating is a 3.59 for Lorenko. I think that's going to be beaten this year. In fact, will it be beaten this year? I don't know if it will be by Smith. I'm not sure what Smith's average rating was in other competitions besides the league. Youngest ever player, Gary. Oldest ever player, Eric. Abdurrahman. Or Abdurraham, I guess that's how you say it. That's probably not. Fastest goal, 11 seconds. That was this year by Daniele Russo. Most goals in a match, 5 set by Mark Stewart. That is a record that I do want to beat. I'm not sure if I've got the double hat-trick achievement yet this year in FM, so that's something I'm going to be looking for. Most assists, Lorenko with 38. 2 years ago, a pretty crazy record there. Youngest goal scorer is Gary, who scored, well, aged 15 and 216 days. I believe that was his second game ever for the club. Oldest goal scorer, Diego Costa, last year in the Rock Cup semi-final against Magpies. In terms of our current records, most games won in a row is 31. Most games without losing is 34. Most games lost in a row is 3. I believe that was probably during the kind of... I don't know when that would have been. It was in August, so I guess that was continental qualification of some kind. Most games without winning is 4. Most games without scoring 2. I mean, that's not too bad a record, isn't it? Most games without conceding 17. Some pretty good records there. Overall, highest league attendances, we finish first every year. Average attendances, as you can see, we sold out every single year at home at least once. Biggest win was, of course, set this year with the 12-0. In terms of sequences, 31 games won in a row this year is the record. Top goal scorer, Daniele Russo, got 48 this year. You can see Mark Stewart got 46. He was the previous record holder. And in third place there, Jack Peachman back in the 2019-2020 season. With, well, what was that? A 39 goal total. That's not too bad, is it? We can look through some of these other ones real quick. Paul Smith leading the way with 33 assists, only eclipsed by Gimo Lorenko's 38 2 years ago. Highest average rating, Paul Smith this year with the 8.64. That is the highest in the club, so I assume that he will be setting the new record there. Not a bad performance. 42 appearances as well that he made that in. In terms of Fans Player of the Year for every year, so you can see how it's evolved. Danny B, first year, a player who now plays for Gibraltar Phoenix, the 29-year-old, a player who was a key player for us early on in this save, I think it's fair to say. We then had Tristan Sargent, Anthony Hernandez, Lee Robson, Jack Peachman, Gary, Lorenko twice, and now Paul Smith twice. Quite a nice Hall of Fame right there. Anyway, quick look at the transfers. You can see the highest fee paid. You can see how we've slowly evolved into this kind of professional team and started spending more and more money progressively. If we look at the history and the best 11, this is where things get interesting. We'll just look at this year's best 11 real quick. You can see Atalo in goal, Patterson, Jeff Brown, Melvin Thomas and Jay Marriott. McVitie at right mid, 28 goals from right midfield, not too bad. Paul Smith, 42 appearances, 38 goals from left mid. Again, I kind of rate him, I think it's fair to say. Our strike duo for this year's Team of the Year, Russo and Jackson. getting a lot of goals between them. 48 for Russo, 37 for Sean Jackson. Looking at Jair on the bench with 29 goals. In terms of the highest average rating, it would have been Bouchard? No, Smith. Smith by 0.1. Well, that's a little bit harsh on Bouchard, isn't it? Anyway, let's move on to the overall best 11. I appreciate, for some people, they don't appreciate all this waffle, but I feel like it's nice to go into all the detail, tell you guys about all the records, get it out of the way, because loads of people love these records. They like to know everything that's going on. And so I do want to keep you guys in the know. Either way, this is the overall best 11. It has a total score of 280,000. I don't actually know what that means, so answers on a postcard if you can tell me how the scoring works here. In goal, Felix Oliveira, or the Cat, as we kind of nicknamed him, playing for West Bromwich Albion, yes. Made 3 Premier League appearances this year. He was loan listed and he's a player who I'd love to sign. Unfortunately, age 23, he is West Brom's second choice goalkeeper and they really want to keep hold of him. Worth noting, he has made 14 appearances for Spain's under-21s, which is pretty good. And at 23 years old, I mean, I'd love to re-sign him. He was such an important player for us early on in this save. You know, he genned at the club. 4 years he spent at the club. He left us on a free, and since then, well, you can see we missed out because Real Oviedo sold him for £600,000 to West Bromwich Albion a few years later. Anyway, at right back, Peter Morgan, a player who we signed, a very good player for us, the 28-year-old. He's still at the club now, I do believe, although he hasn't really played in 4 years. But a massive player for us on his day, 117 appearances made by him. Centre-backs Danny Evans and Melvin Thomas. Danny Evans, one of the first players we signed when we went pro. He's played a lot every year, really. Even this year, 19 league appearances for him. Alongside him, as I mentioned, Melvin Thomas, Canadian centre-back. Good player, can also play left-back, which is nice. Been a very good player for us. He's only 21. He's played for us for the last 3 years. This year was actually his best year. An 8.03 average rating in the league for him. 109 games played. 15 goals as well. That is not too bad for a centre-back. At left-back, another American. Jay Marriott, 21 years old. Been at the club a while. Going into his 5th season at the club. He's played consistently. Even this year he did very well for us. 19 appearances, 12 assists for him. Looking slightly higher up, we have Lorenko, who we've already talked about. 101 appearances at the club with 52 goals. In centre mid, Bouchard and Gary. I mean, they've got a lot of appearances between them. Bouchard, 23 goals, 132 appearances. Soon going to be overtaking Gary for his appearances in the centre of the park. Paul Smith, the left mid, 93 goals from 123 games. That's not too bad of a record, really, is it? Looking up front, we have Ben Connolly and Jack Peachman. Connolly, 1 appearance away from his 200th for the club and 1 goal away from his 160th for the club. We then have Peachman. He's only 1 goal away from getting 100 in the club history. That would be a nice record for him to beat. And on the bench in our best at 11, we have Romero, the goalkeeper. Aaron Guerrero, long-term club captain, 33 years old. He decided to retire after a long injury. Sad for him. We then have Tristan Sargent, Griffo, another player who retired after kind of spending a number of years with the club. If you want to pause it and look at his bio. Was a big player for us back in his day. Got 10 trophies won with the team. I mean, you can't complain with that, can you? Sean Jackson, still at the club, of course. 97 goals in 19 games for him. Very good player for us. The 21-year-old could still have a number of years left at the club. Glenn Gilbert here. Most appearances for the club. 209 in all competition. Not too bad of a record, really. He's also got 8 goals to his name, the left-back. And last but not least, we have Mark Stewart, who averages more than a goal a game. Of course, left us at the start of this year. But in 81 appearances, he got 89 goals. If we hit the Where Are They Now, I should get a little news item so you can see kind of where players play if you want to pause and take a gander where everyone's at. But I think we covered most of the players anyway. Either way, we will quickly go through the league records, and the reason I'll do that is because we hold quite a lot of the league records. So if we look at them here, most times winner, Lincoln Red Imps with 20. We've got 9. I want to surpass them. That's got to be an aim in this save to become the most kind of times winners of the league. Highest attendance was set by us against Gibraltar Lions. Of course, with our new stadium, we should smash that again. We hold the highest average rating. We have the biggest win. We have the highest scoring game. We also have the most games won in a row, and this is a record I'm pretty proud of. Despite how much of a walkover the league is, I do feel like to win 100 league games in a row is a quite nice achievement in FM. Be interesting to see how much longer we can keep that record going. We also have the most games without losing, which is still ongoing. That's 117. St. Joseph's went 20 games without winning this year. Unfortunately, they did get relegated. So one of the rivals that we had of this save, they finished second a few years ago. They've slowly kind of slumped down the league, and unfortunately for them, relegated rock bottom this year. We, of course, have the most team points, which was the perfect season of 81. We have the most team goals of 161. That was set this year as well. We also have the record for most games without conceding. That's 15. Not a bad record, really. Top goal scorer Russo set that this year with 35. Most assists Lourenco set a few years ago with 30. Highest average rating, 25 appearances for Paul Smith. Only missed 2 league games. 9.04 average rating for him. He also got most man of the matches this year with 10 across his 25 appearances. Not too shabby. Fastest goal is Russo's goal, and all the other records are held by random teams. But all in all, I mean, we dominate the records. That's to be expected, but it's just cool to look through, isn't it? It's cool to see the progression that we've made in this save in 10 years. Of course, the league will eventually become more competitive once the league starts getting decent TV money and such. Things are going to get interesting in this save once again. And, well, I'm hoping that next year we can do as well as we've done this year in the Champions League, going into our 10th year. Of course, new stadium, new form of income as well. So it'd be interesting to see if we make any noticeably more money kind of from our new gate receipts, because essentially our capacity in terms of our stadium, I think, has trebled since this year. But yeah, I think that's everything. If I've missed anything, I apologise. I tried to go in depth with everything. We didn't really talk about the player stats this year, just so you can see them. Russo got 48 goals. Most assists was Paul Smith with 33. Highest average rating was Smith, just ahead of Bouchard. But yeah, you can pause it and have a look. Obviously, I know there's a lot of players here. But yeah, I feel like it's been a really good year again. A successful year. Still a lot to achieve in this save. I don't feel anywhere near done with it, which is a good feeling to have. The league is slowly starting to progress. We're currently 93rd in the continental reputations. I'm hoping that our performance in Europe this year is going to help bolster that, because we did, of course, win a Champions League group stage game. So that'll be something worth keeping an eye out on. We'll just have a look at the Champions League stats to see if any of our players finished on the record tables. And actually, as you can see here, Paul Smith, 7 assists, second there. And Jay Marriott, worth noting, Jay Marriott, of course, we didn't get to the knockout stages. He got most yellow cards with 7. I mean, that's an achievement in itself, I feel like. But anyway, the winner of the Champions League is going to be Manchester United or Real Madrid. We'll never know. Although it's probably going to be United. They've won it 2 out of the last 3 years. They are a bit of a dominant force, I think it's fair to say, in Europe right now. But anyway, I think that is everything. This episode's gone on longer than I wanted it to, really. It's 37 minutes long. But we did want to go through all the details. 10 years into the save, I want to give you guys all the snippets of information you could want. I apologise again if there's anything I missed. I mean, I've tried to be pretty thorough with it, and I appreciate if you've watched until this point. I'd be interested to know if you've watched until this point. Let me know down in the comments who your player of the save has been. Who has been the person who stood out to you? It might be Connolly, it might be Peachman, it might be Glenn Gilbert. It might be one of the more recent heroes. It might be Paul Smith, it might be Bouchard, it might be... I don't know. Let me know down in the comments. Maybe it's Hamid Bar. Maybe it's Mark Stewart. I'd love to know what you guys have made of this save. If you've got a favourite moment from this save, it might be a memorable result. It might be the first time we got to the Champions League group stage. It might be the draw away against Arsenal. Let me know what that was as well down in the comments. As always, I love reading what you guys have made of this save. I love the fact you guys are enjoying this save still. Of course, it's only episode 76. There's plenty more left ahead of us to achieve. But yeah, this is going to wrap up everything from me, guys. Thank you so much for watching, as always. If you have enjoyed, smash the like button. As I said, leave a comment with your favourite player, favourite moment down below. And other than that, it is me, Jack, and I'll talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.